Summit today where they announced new cameras and lenses. So let's watch together and have a discussion. And I'm probably going to skip around some of this. These are kind of drawn out a bit, and I'm not just going to have you guys listen for 20-30 minutes. I can leave a link to the actual video if you want to watch the whole thing.
Hello everyone, my name is Shinichiro Udono from Fujifilm. Today I'm coming to you from the new building which will open in the next month at Fujifilm's Omiya office. So the development, production and marketing staffs for X series products are now all under one roof in this building. The new building will be the base for the development of X series cameras and lenses in the future. Today, we would like to bring you some exciting news from this new building. Welcome to our 4th X Summit Omiya. We'll now begin. As I'm sure many of you are already aware, we released this x-s10 f1.0 in September. We have
just getting some stage time with their new camera. I'm going to do a video on this. I have not used it, but this thing is huge. Here, let's skip forward. I'm not so worried about their cameras or lenses they've already released, so I'm going to go ahead and see if I...
It's the ability to shoot in the dark situation with a wide open aperture. All have received high play. As you can imagine, that we can reduce the lens is one of the most popular.
Okay, I went a little too far, I think.
As you can imagine, the production of these lenses requires a high degree of precision. We are now preparing to increase the production capacity so that we can reduce the waiting time.
Must be talking about
thank you for your patience.
5110 still.
And there is still more lens evolution to come. There will be a new lens announced here today.
Here we go. It's got to be the 1024. Yeah.
It's this. The x-s10 to 24mm lens is one of the most popular lenses in the x-s.
See, he says most popular. Maybe they sell the most. I don't know. All the Fuji shooters that I talk to, this is not the most popular. I have a 1024, and I'm going to make a separate video on this. Now, it looks like, at least the rumors had it, where they're going to add weather sealing and a aperture, keyed aperture numbers, which that is a great improvement. But other than that, I don't see it being revolutionary or anything. Let's take a listen.
Series. So we have decided to update it. We have maintained the high level of optical performance, but the build quality and ease of use have been improved. The optics was already fantastic. From the super wide...
So when they say the optics were already fantastic, sounds like, and I haven't compared the old and the new, they don't have the specs for the new out there yet, but it sounds like they're going to reuse their elements design and the core lens design and update it, which that's fine. That's what happens often. And the second or third generation of lenses, especially if there's nothing really to fix. But we'll see if they improve any image quality. Again, already a pretty good sharp lens, but if they can improve some on the corners, I think that would be welcomed.
Angle of 10mm to the standard angle of view of 24mm. The image quality is sharp throughout the entire zoom range. All the important angles of view can be chosen in this small size. For our new x-s10 to 24mm, the performance of optical image stabilization, OIS, has been improved as well.
So that's good to see. Hopefully it improves on video, because this is a wonky lens when you're trying to walk with it. If you watch some of the videos on YouTube with the X-T4, it looks like it's good on paper, but just not a good vlogging lens. I probably wouldn't use it for vlogging. I don't vlog, but if I did, probably wouldn't be the lens anyway. And this lens, if you guys are wondering, I do have it. I use it very, very little. This is a specialty lens. It really has two uses the way I see it. One is landscape. If you guys are out there and shooting a landscape and you want to be able to adjust that long focal length, that 10 to 24, to me it's too long. They should have made a lens smaller for 10 to 18 like Sony and Canon. Instead it's a 10 to 24, hence makes it a bigger. It's a big f4 lens. That's my big gripe. If it was a 2.8 lens, yeah, they do have a 2.8 lens, but it's even bigger. But I wish they would have shrunk this lens down and made it a 10 to 18. That would have been sweet for me. That would have been the sweet spot. But no, they took basically the same lens. Maybe they modified it. I don't know. Improved the image stabilization and added a true aperture settings on the aperture ring or aperture stops.
A new gyroscope has been used to provide an extra stop of anti-vibration performance, which means we now have 3.5 stops of optical image stabilization. When combined with the X-T4, you can achieve up to 6.5 stops of image stabilization performance.
And for me, if you have the 10 to 24 lens, if you're doing landscape, you're going to have a tripod anyway, typically. So sometimes it does come in your advantage of having the optical stabilization, but it wasn't bad before for photos. So yeah, going 6.5 stops. I don't know what the current one is on the X-T4, but I'm thinking for photos it's probably 5 to 6 anyway. So it's good to see an improvement.
It also has less focus breathing, making it more...
Now that's key, less focus breathing. So they improved that. What focus breathing is when it focuses in and out in order to obtain that subject. It gives you that wonky effect. It looks like they improved it. So we'll have to see if it actually improves in real life, because I bought this as a dual purpose lens, or the old generation, and it's really a one-trick pony. It's good for landscape, and it's good for architecture, indoor architecture for buildings, like if you're doing real estate photography. If that's what your thing is, real estate or landscape, the 10 to 24 is good for that, or at least the Gen 1 was. Anything else, it had crappy close distant focus. The f4 is a really slow lens, especially on an APS body, compared to the overall size. So hopefully they improved some of these things that I had problems with. Don't know if I'll upgrade because I hardly ever use it, but for the people that are really into landscape, the weather resistant is going to be clutch for those guys.
Suitable for video recording. The exterior design has also changed to incorporate a new weather resistance construction. This lens has been used to capture many wonderful landscapes in the past. With this additional weather resistance feature, you will be able to shoot in more challenging environments.
Yeah, we get that.
We have also added an index to the aperture ring and an A-position locking mechanism.
That's nice.
This was also one of the features requested by many users and was an essential step in the evolution of this lens for more reliable operation.
Now, I don't know if this is a true lock. They have this, it's hard to tell from this photo. I don't know if that's a lock on the, I'm going to pull one of my old lenses here, or if it's just A. It's just the A. So if you can, you know, set it for auto aperture, I assume that is. It would be really cool if it had a lock in case you bump it, but I guess there's really not a need. I'm not sure what they mean by a dial lock position. So yeah, it could be. Oh, okay, got it. So and I'm guessing if you set it on this position, you can use your dial and your camera opposed to the aperture ring. So that's probably what they mean by that.
Now users can check their exposures without looking through the viewfinder or checking the LCD monitor. For example, it should benefit landscape photographers who use long exposures or time-lapse shooting mode with the camera fixed to a tripod. Let us know what you think. We tried our best to listen to the...
I don't see how that's a huge advantage for a landscape photographer. I guess that's one thing less to have to look at, but when you're doing a long exposure or you're a landscape photographer, you're looking at your shutter duration more than anything. If you're in your settings, a flick of a switch of a dial, and you can see it on your display if you're shooting, f/16, f5.6, whatever it is. It's nice to see, but I wouldn't say that's a huge advantage for a landscape photographer. But that's
various requests we received from many photographers and amateur users. This lens is scheduled to be available from November, so stay tuned. We would also like to update the future roadmap of X-mount lenses, adding 2 new lenses. The first one will be a new zoom lens. Today, I introduce our 14th X-mount zoom lens. What kind of zoom lens do you think it is? Is it wide or is it tele?
Yeah. So if it's white, a lot of times the professional lenses are white, and it signifies their Pro Series. Some people say it really has a scientific reason for it, because since you have so many elements, so much glass within that lens, if you're outdoor shooting and that sun is beaming on a black lens body, aluminum lens body, you can transfer heat and kind of shift some things around. Others, and I know there's probably some science, but I think it calls out, I have a pro lens and I'm on the sidelines of a sporting event. So that's what that white. Canon uses it. Really, all the manufacturers use it. Some of it's scientific related, but a lot of it is a little bit flashiness.
Yes, I'm going to share with you for the first time today this. It's the XF70 to 300mm f4 to 5.6. Compact body that maximizes the appeal of the AP.
So this is interesting. Let me grab my 50 to 200. It doesn't appear to be a red badge lens. It appears to be similar to like just a regular XF lens. And the 50 to 200 is very similar. This looks like it goes a little bit further, obviously, 70 to 300. So you get some more reach, which is good, because on this 55 to 200, I hardly ever use the 55 focal length. I'm usually shooting a little bit longer. So that's kind of cool to see, and it's got the same. Now this 55 to 200 is I think it's it's a little faster. It's 3.5 to 4.8, where this is a f4 to 5.6. So what is that? Not quite a stop, but you're gaining quite a bit of focal length. You're gaining 50% focal length. So that's kind of cool. As long as it's truly compact and kind of lightweight. That's what the 55-200 kind of has to offer. For what it is, it's actually a good telephoto that's reasonably sized.
PS format with a focal length covering up to 300mm. And it will be compatible with teleconverters too.
That is cool. The current 55 to 200, you can't use the lens converters. It has to do with like the flange or whatever on the back. There's not enough distance. Where traditionally the lens converter, teleconverters, the 1.5 and 2, will only work on the red badge or the pro line of lenses. So I don't know if this is a red badge or if it's going to be a standard XF.
So let me do some easy calculation. So 300mm times 2.0 with a teleconverter and times 1.5 to make it 35mm equivalent. It multiples up to 900mm.
What that means is you can get a hell of a reach out of that. I'm like shooting the moon kind of stuff. Now, one thing to note, this is a little slower, meaning that it doesn't let as much light in. Anytime you get longer in the focal length, that is a price to pay. Then if you add the extenders, like the 1.5 or the 2 times extenders, it then reduces your light. So instead of a all the way out, I think they said it was a 5.6 lens. So you're probably going to lose 2 stops. So that you're going to be more like, what would that be? F11? Let me look at one of my lenses. I don't have this at the top of my head. So yeah, you'd be at like F11. So if you're looking for something that has, you know, crazy reach, and you're doing like wildlife birding where you're out in the middle of the daylight, shooting F11 or F11 like as far as the amount of light, that is totally doable. You also degrade a little bit of image quality sometimes when you add the telephoto extenders. So just because you have another lens that you're multiplying magnification on, so any imperfection, you're going to see it even more.
With this small size, you can shoot with a...
And this thing is extending out of the tube, so it's good that it's compact and it's super long.
Focal length of 900 millimeter at 35 millimeter equivalent. Of course, the lens would include OIS, optical image stabilization. If you like sports, bird, or animal photography.
Sports, I don't know. It depends on what kind of sports. If you're shooting your son's football game and there's not a lot of light, again, it's about light. That's why a lot of these pro shooters, they're shooting like a 300 millimeter prime, just because it's both fast, meaning it lets a lot of light in, and has that long range. So that 900 millimeter is fine as long as you're shooting with a lot of light. That's always been the issue for me, because these are APS-C bodies. I love Fuji, but if you're talking about an f11 equivalent lens at the full focal length, you're going to have to compensate that for your ISO. And if you would normally shoot at let me give you an example. So f11 at that full length would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 stops compared to an f4 lens. So if you think you're at a graduation and you're on the field, that this happened to me like 3 or 4 times with graduations, and you're on that football field and it's dusk and they just turn the lights on, you're probably shooting f1.4, and I'd have to look at some of my photos, between f1.4 and f2.8, depends on how many people you're going to get into that shot, and still have reasonable ISOs, right? Because you don't have that bright sunlight. Great photos from that. But let's just say 2.8 is that baseline. Say you're at ISO probably 800 at that point. Again, I'd have to check a couple of my photos to find out. And this is at dusk with the football stadium lights on. And you're talking about 1, 2, 3, 4 more stops if you're shooting at 900. Now, you'd be able to see, get up really close, and that might even be too much for a football game. But 4 stops at ISO 800. Let me grab my camera, and I can't do the math. So you're talking about that would be 1 stop, 2 stops, 3 stops, 4 stops. So that would be ISO equivalent of 12,800, and to me that would not be usable. It just wouldn't. Your photos would be too grainy. On this camera, my X-T2, I don't like to go above 3,200. So that's 2 stops above. Now, granted, you can use it without the extender and still be in that good range. Not ideal, but it would work fine probably for your son's graduation, or shooting long distance, or a football game. But here we go. I know I'm dragging out too much on this.
We believe that it will be a must-have lens for such photographers. We are currently developing this lens and plan to...
People ask me a lot is, zooms, are they worth picking up? It really depends on what you shoot. I don't shoot my zoom much, so my 55 to 200 works for me for the little I use it. But if you're big into long distance, then You know, really just depends on what your hobby is.
Launch it next year. So far, we have been talking about zoom lenses. As many of you all know, the rich variation of prime lenses is what makes our X-mount lens lineup unique.
Yes, it is.
The second lens to join our roadmap today is
it a 35 redo?
this. So this new compact lens is being unveiled for the first time today. It's the XF 18mm f1.4.
Huh.
It has a natural and versatile wide angle of view of 28mm.
Yeah, so this kind of took me by surprise, and I was hoping, like a lot of people, would be a 35-1.4 version 2. 18-1.4, it's so close to the 16-1.4, which is my favorite lens. I don't know if this would be better or worse, but it is very, very close in focal length. So if you got the 16-1.4, I don't know how excited you should be. I know I'm not very excited.
In 35mm equivalent. Combined with a large aperture, f1.4, this lens should become another classic X-mount lens. The pancake-style 18mm f2 was a lens designed.
What they should have done is redid the 18 f2 pancake and came out with a nice, small, compact 18 f2 that was, you know, optically better, especially on this new smaller body that they're supposed to announce, this x-s10. So yeah, I'm not overly pleased with the direction they went with this. Again, we already got a wonderful 16 millimeter 1.4, but what we have is a bunch of older lenses like the 35 1.4 that really could use a facelift.
Specifically for mobility. But this 18mm f1.4 lens was designed to prioritize image quality. It should deliver sharp image across the frame with no distortion, and provide a rich and creamy bokeh at the wide open aperture f1.4. Generally, wide-angle lenses are used for landscape photography with a smaller aperture. Although with this lens, you should be able to enjoy the unique perspective and the beautiful bokeh in portrait and street snaps as well. But still, as you can see, this is the size of the lens. We believe this is going to be a must-have for all X-mount users. This lens should be available within next year. What do you all think?
I don't know. I have some mixed feelings about it. I love the 16 millimeter, but would a couple extra millimeters on the focal length allow me to get a little bit better up-close portraiture? I don't know.
The lineup of X-mount lenses.
Would you keep both the 16 and 18? Yeah, I don't know. I definitely would like to try this 18 millimeter out.
Lenses is becoming richer with various options to select from, and we will promise to continue our development to deliver more options. We hope everyone enjoying our X Summit Omiya event. We have brought you the latest lens news so far. Now, we would like to bring you the news about our camera. We are really excited to announce this product today. Yes.
Yep, this has got to be it.
Yes. It's a new X series camera with a new concept.
Kind of cheesy. So it is the x-s10. Looks like a perfect size. Doesn't look too small, doesn't look too big. I'm glad to see it for the first time in someone's actual hands instead of just those pictures comparing it in size to X-T4s and XH1s. To me, it looks like it's the perfect size. Yep.
The x-s10 is a model that packs all of our latest technology into an extremely compact body. It is equipped with the X-Trans CMOS 4 and X-Processor 4, same with our flagship XT4.
So interesting. Same, well, not a surprise, same processor and everything in the sensor as the XT4, but they called it their flagship. They used that same word interchangeably with the XH series, so it seems like whatever their top camera is, they want to keep on changing their flagship instead of actually keeping their flagship current and up to date. So not hating for it. I'm just wasn't a surprise, but I'm glad to see that they're reusing all the good components of the XT4.
And allows you to enjoy comfortable shooting in various film simulations, including classic Nega and Eterna Breach Bypass, with a reliable autofocus system.
So what they're saying is good eye focus and the also much in importance is the film simulations. It should have them all based on the rumors, and he didn't get into the detail, but basically saying that it will have them. Built-in flash, you know, people hate the built-in flash, and it's pretty much useless, but it's one of those things, if you don't have a flash on you, it's better than nothing. So
system. And we have packed this body with a powerful in-body image stabilization with 5-axis, 6-stop performance. The camera is also capable of shooting up to 30 minutes at 4K 30p movie. And
so 10-bit 422 external. And I'm not hating this camera for that, because the XT4, if you want to shoot in camera 10-bit, then you're going to have the XT4. I mean, it's a $700 camera if this truly comes out to be what's rumored, $999. It's just, you know, I guess it's a talking point, but who would take this smaller camera and hook it up to an external monitor when you can just shoot with the XT4 all internal? But
it has a vari-angle LCD to support usage such as blogging. Today, we would like to introduce this camera by style, IBIS, auto, and color. For this,
that's pretty much a stupid slogan. Your style, our color.
Section.
Pretty
I would like to
dumb.
introduce the details with the engineers and designer who actually developed the camera features. Please allow me to have
definitely one of the best works.
Talk all of this.
Hello.
Talk about how you make film simulations.
Line design.
And if you guys, again, if you want to listen to all this, you can look at my description and watch this whole thing without my narration. So
of the curves towards the top surface allows for a comfortable grip and avoids interference of the strap when holding the camera.
That's kind of neat. And Fuji does have decent ergonomics. I think Canon's still the best on this, but I'm glad they put some thought into it.
Also, the curved edges around the dials create a comfortable operating experience. Now, a built-in flash hidden near the viewfinder also includes an IBIS unit and many other sophisticated devices. There's even a built-in flash hidden near the viewfinder to achieve our mission of packing a small camera with high functionality is something that many consumers are desiring, or more freely to take more shots.
Thank you, Kamei-san. Next, let's talk about the in-body image stabilization.
Watch
Fuminori Irie would now join me for this part.
This has been packed into this compact body. The theme for the x-s10 was to design a new IBIS unit that would fit in a small and thin camera. In order to satisfy demands of users in different levels, body camera like the XH1 or this is the new IBIS unit we developed for x-s10. The size difference is very obvious. In order to realize this, a completely new approach was required. Our approach to this task was to find how we could share certain components within the camera body, just capable of moving the sensor unit with less power. Due to this, we were able to downsize the actuator and other parts needed to boost the power. Although we minimized the size, we do not compromise the performance.
So it looks like they figured out a way not only to make it smaller, but to reduce the power consumption, which is very important for especially a battery of this size, because when the XH camera, which is the bigger body, bigger than the XT series, it used the same legacy battery. I forget, what is it, the 126. And one of the biggest complaints is with IBIS, the camera just, the battery lasted like in no time. It was horrible. Where this camera, it'll have IBIS, but it looks like it will be a little bit less energy consumption, which is great.
It achieves 5-axis 6-stop stabilization performance. Powerful image stabilization allows users to freely choose where and when to shoot, but most importantly, it can even improve the image quality. Great contribution to image quality. I'm most delighted.
Will join us for this part. Okiyama-san, thank you for coming.
What's he talking
Auto function
about?
on this camera.
The x-s10 is equipped with an auto function that allows anyone to capture the best work possible.
Oh, this is
Thank you for having me. I'm Kazuya Okiyama.
full auto mode, I'm assuming.
The x-s10 has the best autofocus system in our camera lineup. I would like to share how our autofocus is designed not only to be fast.
That's good they didn't hold anything back. Autofocus is very important to both acquire your subject in low light and also track if you're shooting continuous. So,
but also
like
strong.
It's probably got the same as the XT4.
Talking about its speed before moving on to the strong part, the x-s10 is able to focus in zero. It achieves. Therefore, we designed the algorithm for sensor readout to make our camera's pixels that actually depict -7 EV should allow you to shoot many low light situations. The goal for an engineer like me, specifically the x-s10 has the auto mode in its shooting modes. It itself is not something new to.
This is my wife's mode. Fully auto, you just hit the button.
To our system, but for the x-s10, we made a major update. After the scene is detected automatically, the best film simulation will be chosen.
Now, this is odd. This is a different take on auto. This is like auto meets Instagram, right? So you got, it's not only doing your traditionally on full auto, it would choose between like portrait, landscape, and this is like the dummy mode, where this is taking it to the next level. This is also choosing a film simulation, black and white, acros, Astia, depending on the situation, and doing the portrait, landscape, and all those would do basically is try to make a determination if it's a higher aperture, lower aperture, and so on. This is a bit different. I would never use it, but it's interesting.
Then, exposure, dynamic range, highlight and shadow tones, color chrome effect, clarity, etc. will be added.
So I don't know. I try this out when I get the camera, but maybe it would do okay. But if Apple can't figure out how to do it the best, yeah, I wouldn't use it. But
shooting with
kind of a different take on full auto. I mean, this is like all the way.
Auto mode, the quality is super high and doesn't need any additional editing. The x-s10 has come close to what our auto control team has designed it for.
Auto is, needless to say, one of the most important features of camera. Thank you, Okiyama-san. Lastly, let's talk about the color of the x-s10. The most important feature among Fujifilm's camera is obviously film simulation. Let's have Taro Saito to hear his story.
Thank you.
So Saito-san, could you tell me a little bit about x-s10's color?
With the x-s10, you can enjoy all the color science of Fujifilm. Across are the two film simulations I designed, Chrome and Pro Neg, but also...
So it looks like it's got pretty much all of them. Classic Chrome, Classic Negative, Eterna, Bleach Bypass, Velvia, Ostia, Provia. Oh, there's Eterna down there. Yeah, that's cool.
Eterna and Eterna Bleach Bypass can also be chosen, which are perfect for video shooters. Different colors. Simulation
in tones, especially people of color, is outstanding.
I'm skipping through because this isn't really about the camera. This is more about, you know, how great their film simulations are, which I do like a lot of them. It's one of the reasons I shoot Fujifilm. I just don't want to make this video. You guys can watch it yourself.
And I'm a big fan of the classic Chrome simulation that I've been
An editing app.
Find your favorite color reproduction simulation modes. You would be able to see the scenery in the color you would...
I guess this is from their logo. What is it? Your color, our... I don't know. Your imagination, our color, or something
envision
like that.
And achieve outstanding quality images straight out of the camera. I believe that many users would be able to enjoy photography.
And they produced amazing images straight out of the camera. Everyone is talking about the joy of shooting and how comfortable it is to shoot.
So this is kind of a good tactic, I think, for Fujifilm, because it's one of the reasons I shoot Fuji is straight out of the camera JPEGs. The camera, even without this, I think it's going to be gimmicky auto function. It's just phenomenal. The sharpness, the detail, the everything. I just really like the out of the camera JPEGs. And this is big for me because I don't like to spend hours editing. So they're really kind of taking this and marketing, say, hey, if you really want to shoot great straight out of the camera JPEGs, Fuji's the one, and they want to get people that shoot Fuji to start posting pictures.
Set up your camera
and so everybody
focus on
can
the
ooh and
composition.
wow and say, if I can shoot out of this camera,
and
I can shoot as good as those photos, or those photographers rather.
And would realize high quality image straight out of camera. Why not try out with your camera and post it with a hashtag of SOOC? It would be great if the photos are taken with the x-s10 or any other X series camera. The x-s10 camera is scheduled to be released in November, and the price would be at $999 US for body.
So it did come in at that $999 price point in November. So cool.
As well as its rich functionality, we believe the cost effectiveness will be a big part of the x-s10's performance. Update is scheduled. The XT series firmware. The new version 4.00.
So for you XT3 folks, looks like you're going to get the autofocus update, which is cool, version 4. They really haven't shown any love for the XT2 owners. I know it's an older camera, 2 gens back, but there's some smaller things. I know it doesn't have the processor of the XT3, XT4, so there are definite limitations, but there are things that could give the XT2, like where, and this is the one I was waiting for, and it never happened. If you have a 64 gigabyte card and shooting 4K, it puts all of the files into one file rather than how it is now. It will separate it by like 15 seconds or something. So you take one clip of 5 minutes and you got like 30 files you have to piece together in post, which is just a pain in the ass. Things like that I think they could have improved and tweaked upon. Even some of the film simulations, why not give them to the XT2 users? So
will have the same autofocus performance as the XT4 and x-s10. Fast and accurate autofocus, intelligent face and eye detection autofocus will be available with the XT3 you are using now. It will be available for download in 2 weeks from 28th of October. X-T3 users look forward to the Omiya. Thank you for watching this event.
So that's it, guys. Here's my take. I think the lenses, 10-24, I won't get it. I'm going to do a separate video on that lens. The 18mm prime, it's got me interested. I'd really like to try one out. I'll see what people are saying about that in comparison to the 16mm. The 70-300, it looks like a good lens if you really need something long, longer than the 55-200. Again, I'm not a big telephoto shooter, so I probably won't be getting that. Hopefully, if I get enough subscribers, I can get some stuff to test. It's just not my shooting style. The camera body, the x-s10, I am really considering about ordering one of those and getting it. I think it's a great small camera that I can just take everywhere with me. It has a nice grip. It's one of the things that I wish my Fuji X-T2 had, is a bigger grip. And it looks like it's small enough to be even more compact than my Fuji X-T2, but large enough with that grip to actually be a real camera and hold on to it. Some people don't like the DSLR, the XH style to it. I like it. I really was hoping that the X-T4 was going to be that hybrid between the XH series. Now, this is just my speculation of where they might be. They, as in Fuji, might be going with the new XH2, as they rumored to have one in the works. Will it be what I thought the X-T4 is? Meaning, will they drop the large body of the XH series and take the X-T4 size camera, right? Use the new IBIS, shrink it in, put the bigger grip, so you would have the X4 hybrid, what we thought was going to be the X-T4. Maybe that's going to be the XH2. Who knows? But I do really like the this x-s10. Couple things I've read before making this video is that the card slot, they're going to have one card slot, and it is going to be a UHS-1. Not a big deal. I don't even have UHS-2 cards. The 2 slots, or lack of 2 slots, not going to be a professional work camera, but for an everyday camera, I think it's great. The viewfinder, the LCD rather, on the back looks like it's going to be the same as the X-T4, which that's cool. The EVF unfortunately looks to be the same as the X-T30. Not horrible, but it could be bigger, and I think it's what 0.62 magnification, or the X-T2 even was about the same resolution, but it had like a 0.77, don't hold me to it, a little bit bigger magnification, so it's just bigger when you look in the viewfinder. So that's kind of disappointing a little bit to see, but that said, I'll still probably pick one up. The only thing that I'm still wondering is, I was hoping to get it from this video, is what they're doing with the focus selection. I'd really like the switch on the camera, physical switch. It doesn't have to be on the front. This camera doesn't look like it has one to switch from manual to continuous to single autofocus, but I think it's going to be a great camera for me. I'm already told my wife, I said I'm probably going to pre-order it if it gets launched this morning. So I'm going to go take a look. And another thing, guys, too, if you look in my description, I'm adding the Amazon links, so it's a little something if it can help me out. Maybe I can buy more cameras and give you guys my thoughts. I'm not looking to make an income out of this, but if it can help me buy some gear and do some reviews and some videos, that's what I'm shooting for. So thanks for watching, guys. If you have any questions or just comments, I'd love to be able to read them down in the comments. So give it a like. Thanks again for watching. Take care. Bye.